My First PC Build is sponsored by Gigabyte. See their full line of motherboards and graphics cards at gigabyte.com. Hey everybody, welcome back to My First PC Build. I'm Ryan Strout with PC Perspective. My nephew Austin joining me once again. So good news everybody. The hardware part of this build was a complete success. Got the side panels put back on it, powered it up, first time, boom. Nothing but success here, guys. And we got this screen here, which is what basically any new build will be met with, right? We got an error message that there was no boot device connected. Hit F1 to go into the BIOS. And this is what the BIOS is, right? So this is a firmware level menu system that has tons of options for configuring processor speeds, memory speeds, overclocking, changing boot orders, adjusting performance of all kinds of different things. And the truth of it is, if you're a first-time builder or it's been a long time and you're just trying to get a machine up and running, there's almost nothing in a BIOS or UEFI that you should have to deal with, right? There's maybe one exception that we're going to show you here, and that is adjusting boot order or changing boot priority. And that is essentially that you have multiple devices in this system now. You have your 480 gig SSD from Corsair, you have your 3 terabyte hard drive from Western Digital, and you have this optical drive as well. All of which could be boot media. In other words, that's where the operating system loads from. So if you need to adjust that for some reason, we'll show you how to do that. Also, you'll have to do that probably for installing your operating system. We have our Windows 10 Home Edition here that comes with a USB thumbstick. Looks like this, right? And we'll plug it into this back of this machine here and restart it. To see if it just boots off of it automatically or if we need to go in and change the priority. If you do have to go in to change priority, it's going to vary based on the vendor of your motherboard. And this Gigabyte Z170X Gaming 5 board, you can see the menus across the top here. If we scroll to the right, there's actually an option here under Save and Exit called Boot Override. Now, Boot Override doesn't change the boot order, but it will allow you to select a specific device to boot from in that one instance, right? So if we have our thumb drive plugged in, that's what we would use. If you go back to if we go back into BIOS Features option, you'll see right at the top, boot options, priorities, boot option 1, boot option 2, right? So you can select different drives that are attached to depend, will basically configure which drive it attempts to boot from first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this USB thumb drive and I'm going to plug it into one of the USB ports on the back. Then I'm going to restart the system with Control-Delete because it'll have to do that in order to see the device in place. I'm going to hit the Delete key to enter into the BIOS and setup. Now if we go to the Save and Exit option, you'll notice that there is a new selection here. There is a Windows 10 installer available in the menu settings, right? So now we have to configure which one we're going to pick from here. And we're using a SATA connection here, so there's nothing really special we need to do. We're going to go ahead and boot off of that, and that will basically start the whole process of installing Windows. We want to install 64-bit Windows. That just makes more sense now. And then we'll go through the entire Windows 10 setup process that is surprisingly fast and surprisingly simple. I think any novice user will be able to walk through it without any headaches. Once you get that prompt, once you get this kind of logo started, you know you're on the right track. So simple steps here. We'll go through. Yes, we want English. We can actually use a mouse to do that at this point. We'll install that now. And we'll allow it to start copying its files over, doing its configuration. It's going to load drivers that it thinks it needs based on the hardware that is installed in the system fairly easily. Now we're going to insert our key that came with this device here, and we'll swap off of the screen here while we type this in. Is it hidden from them on that one too? Okay. So we simply type in what we have here. Riveting entertainment, I'm sure.
Wait, so even after we type it in, they could still use it? Is that way?
You know what? I don't know the answer to that. It would be much more difficult for them to try to use it that way, but they could. So now we have this key card that has our key on it. So we'll want to save that for you for sure. This will go in your motherboard box of stuff. So we want to do a custom installation. This is a brand new system, so we want to make sure we're doing that. Now here's an interesting part. You want to make sure you're paying attention here. There are 2 drives listed, Austin. Right? One of them, it says it's 447.1 gigabytes. Do you remember which one that one is? That's the SSD. That's the one that was a smaller capacity but was a lot faster. The second one, drive 1 here, is almost 3,000 gigabytes. So that's the hard drive. We want to install our operating system to the SSD, the Corsair Neutron XT. It's the faster drive. So we just select that as we have here and click Next. And it will start this process. All right, we are finally basically almost into Windows now. We're going to skip through some other settings here. Keep in mind you did have to remove, there was a point where we had to remove the boot media, the thumb drive from Windows, from the back of the machine, just so that it would continue the boot process. So let's see. Who's going to use this PC? Austin is going to use it. All right, now go ahead and switch off of here, and I'll make a password. And no, we'll do a password later. That's what we'll do. Yeah, we'll add a password. You're gonna keep your brother and sister off your computer. We'll make sure you have a password on it. Hi. Computer would like to say.
Oh, dang, you know what? They know all my passwords. I'm going to have to make up a whole new password.
Yeah, if your brother and sister know your passwords,
Darn.
that's your own problem. You gotta come up with a new password.
Dang.
Obviously, your mom and dad will have to have it, but
Yeah.
you know.
My dad wants every password so that in case we lock ourselves out.
So we'll finish through the rest of the setup process here, and it will dump us back into Windows 10. All right, we are officially inside Windows here. We have our desktop. We have some other things we have to do first before we consider this build complete, right? The very first thing we want to do is we're going to download some drivers. But one thing you'll notice is even though we have an Ethernet connected to the back of our PC, right, that we have no internet connection. Now, as it turns out, this motherboard, this Gigabyte Z170X Gaming 5 board, uses a network controller from Killer Networking, the E2200, I think is what it is. And Windows, by default, does not have that driver installed. So it's a little bit of a pain. You either have to get the driver disk out of the motherboard box, and we can install it through the optical drive. We went ahead and downloaded the driver from another computer, from my laptop, and just copied it to a thumb drive. That tends to be a little bit faster, just in terms of getting the software installed. So we're going to go ahead and copy that off here to our desktop. And then once we get a network driver installed, we can actually go to the internet and download the rest of the drivers. We need graphics drivers, we need to download Steam, we need to get some games installed, get an antivirus installed, and make sure all that is good to go. So let's get this Killer Network driver installed for us, and then we will jump over to graphics drivers. All right, so there you go. We're going to say no to the reboot here on this, and we'll drag that up there. We'll keep that there. So now we've got our network installed. We'll open up Internet Explorer, and we'll go to GeForce.com. Now, GeForce.com is NVIDIA's website. It is where you can download the latest version of GeForce Experience and their driver. So we're going to go ahead and download that. This is where you'll get the software that will help for people who are kind of new to PC gaming or just coming back into PC gaming, the ability to easily set up your games, easily kind of manage your profiles, and also make sure you always have the latest software installed. So here it is. It's downloading the installer in the background. And it's going to go through this whole process for us. All right, so we've opened up GeForce Experience, and now you can see it's downloading the latest GeForce driver from actually just today. Actually, they released a new driver, 361.91. So we'll go ahead and do the express installation of that. It's one of the benefits of the GeForce Experience software is it does a very good job of keeping you up to date. If you're not the type of power user that's used to going out checking for drivers, reading forums for what's changed, this will make sure you have that capability. And it will also make sure that when you download a new game, it will kind of set custom settings for you.
So do I have to do that regularly? Go and do it and do that?
No, the GeForce Experience software by default kind of checks for drivers for you. It will notify you when there's a new driver, and then you can choose to install it or not install it. Most of the time, I'd say if that GFE says we've got a new driver, you can go ahead and install it in there.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so the driver installation is complete. If you want to browse through what other features GeForce Experience has as well, you can look through what different components it supports. We don't have any games installed, obviously, which is a crucial mistake for any individual gaming PC. So let's go back into our web browser. Obviously, you can download Chrome if you are if you desire to. Let's install Steam here real quick. Installer. Now, if you don't, Austin, you have a Steam account.
Yes.
Right? So you've already have a Steam account. If you don't have a Steam account, you set one up through the software. It's really easy. If you come from a console gaming background, yes, you can still go to some stores every once in a while or buy online disc-based versions of the games that will install on your machine. But for the majority of PC gaming, you're going to use Steam or which is made by a company called Valve, or you're going to use Origin, which is made by EA. And these are applications that run in the background that help manage your games, and you download them essentially, right?
Okay.
So you're not going out and buying DVDs and putting them in there. You're downloading them, saving them to the discs accordingly. So we're going to go ahead and get Steam installed here. I'll have you log into your Steam account, and then we'll show how easy it is to just download a machine. Actually, maybe we'll log into my Steam account since we have lots of different games that we can,
Yeah, 'cause I only have like 4.
download through there. Because there's also you might have to get an email in order to install Steam on your account. I don't know if you know. Do you know what email address
Yeah.
your Steam is? Okay, well, that'll make it easier for you then. So we'll go ahead and... All right, so I'm going to go ahead and log into Steam. It's going to have to send me an email first, thanks to security concerns here. There we go. Type in our new number. All right. So there we go. Now we have Steam installed, and it'll load up here with our library of games. We have a lot of games here on our PC Pro library just because of all the testing and stuff we do. So this is pretty much it, right? So if you want to go buy new games, you go to the store, go there. You can browse through all the games. There's often Steam sales. Once you have bought it and it has ended up in your library, you can go down here and, install that one. And it will allocate the disk space and start the download. And that's pretty much it, guys. Like, once you get this installed, you're ready to go, right? So it will download that game and it will be off and running in no time. The other options, the other things you should consider downloading if you're new to PC gaming, you need an antivirus software. I don't think Windows Defender is really enough anymore to do that. Security Essentials, I don't even think is a thing anymore. I would avoid the Nortons and the McAfees of the world as a personal preference. Go with something like NOD32. NOD32 is one I use on my machine. You want to download Origin, like if you want to play Battlefield games. You want to play Battlefront, right? Then you go to origin.com and download that. It's very similar to what Steam is. If you want to install other browsers, you can do all these types of things, and you basically have your system up and running and ready to go. That was it. What do you think?
Pretty simple.
Yeah. You got to get Microsoft Office in there. That's a separate installation. things like that. You want to make sure you're keeping track of all this, and I'll show you real fast here. If you open up this machine, there's your SSD. That all looks good, and it looks like your hard drive isn't showing up. So let's go ahead and go and make that an issue. So we'll go into computer management. We'll see those disks. Yeah. So this is going to very quickly make your hard drive, your 3 terabyte hard drive, available. We opened up an application called Computer Management, went to Disk Management, and now we make a partition for your drive. We'll call it storage. Done. Yep, there we go. Now you have your hard drive, or you have your SSD rather, you have your Blu-ray drive, and now you have your storage, your 3 terabytes of mass storage. And there you go. Now we can play The Witness. So that's pretty much it, guys. That is the entirety process of figuring out what computer components are, picking those particular components, going through the construction process. I know we went pretty fast, Austin. You think you could redo all this by yourself if I just left you alone with all these parts again?
I'd do better than I would before. I don't know if I get it 100%. But.
Well, that's the right part, right? And if you guys have questions, leave them in the comment section of this article or in the YouTube comments, and I'm sure you'll have a bevy of people that will help answer you. This is really just trying to get people back into building PCs. We really think this is the way to go. With VR here, PC gaming is way ahead of what console gaming can do. We're really excited about what 2016 has to offer, and hopefully you learned something from this. And hopefully we'll make some more videos in the not too distant future that will teach you a little bit more about what you can do with this hardware. I want to thank Gigabyte for sponsoring this video series, donating the motherboard, and as well as the graphics card, the Z170X Gaming 5 and the GTX 970 Extreme Edition or Extreme Gaming card. And then obviously big thanks out to Corsair and Logitech and everybody else, Western Digital, that donated hardware for this build. The case, the power supply, the SSD, the memory all came from Corsair, and Logitech keyboard and mouse that I'm using right now. I hope you don't mind. I'm the first person to use all your new accessories, so I hope that's okay. Otherwise, thanks guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you soon.